What's going on, guys? It's Greg here, aka NYPrepper. It is Sunday, October 22nd, 2023, and I have an emergency update to share with you guys. Right now, it is 1:26 p.m. Eastern Time here in the United States, and we currently have two U.S. presidential doomsday planes in the air right now and a nuclear war command and control plane. So this is extremely unusual, and it shows that our military is probably operating at DEFCON 2 and that our nuclear forces are on high alert. Now, yesterday we had four nuclear war command and control planes up in the air, and today we have two presidential doomsday planes up in the air, which is extremely unusual. These doomsday planes are for the U.S. president and for various VIPs that are responsible for ordering nuclear strikes, and also for the succession of the government in a continuity of government situation. So basically, the president of the U.S. So, in the event of a nuclear war, the president would go into one of these planes, and this plane would just circle over the U.S. indefinitely. And the president would be able to order nuclear strikes and manage a nuclear war and manage the entire U.S. military from one of these planes. Okay, so these planes are critical for the survival of the U.S. government and for the president. All right. So to have two of them airborne at the same time, very unusual. And we also have a nuclear war command and control plane airborne over the Gulf of Mexico right now at the same time as these two doomsday planes. Okay. Now, these nuclear war command and control planes, also known as the Boeing E-6B Mercury TACAMO planes, are responsible for remotely launching all of our Minuteman III ICBMs from the air in the event that the ground-based launch control centers were to get wiped out. They also are responsible for communicating with our nuclear-armed submarines and our bombers in the event that ground-based transmitter sites get wiped out. So these are very, very important planes. And we had four of them in the air yesterday, and now we have one in the air at the same time as the presidential doomsday planes. Here we have one of the doomsday planes that took off from San Antonio, and it's flying, looks like, towards Barksdale Air Force Base in Shreveport, Louisiana, but it was flying along the Texas Gulf Coast, which is very, very interesting. And here we have another one that appears to be going to Wright-Patterson Air Force Base in Dayton, Ohio, and it took off from Offutt Air Base, which is home of Strategic Command. So the U.S. military is probably operating at DEFCON 2, and the nuclear forces are on high alert. And this comes just hours after the U.S. Secretary of Defense Lloyd Austin announced increases in force posture in the Middle East. He specifically mentioned that the second aircraft carrier strike group that's on its way to the Eastern Mediterranean is now going to be coming under the Central Command area of responsibility. Okay, so it's going to be part of Central Command now. And he also mentioned that they're going to be deploying additional air defenses to the Middle East, including the THAAD system and the Patriot system. And he also mentioned that he has given out ready to deploy orders to forces in the Middle East. Okay. So, guys, the military is basically ready to strike. Okay. They're ready for an all out war. Okay. The U.S. military is on high alert. They're on DEFCON 2, I believe. And the forces in the Middle East are ready for a worst case scenario. And what's interesting is I've been getting a lot of emails the last few days from subscribers telling me that they know someone in the military deployed in the Middle East, and that the people deployed that they know were telling them that they had their last phone call because they're going dark, that comms are going dark. And this person told me that the person they know on one of these warships in the Ford Strike Group got the orders for a communications blackout. And so they got their last phone call like 2 days ago. And then I got multiple other emails from people saying that they know someone in the Middle East with the Navy and that they're basically on very high alert right now. Okay. But what's interesting is that Lloyd Austin decided to deploy the THAAD systems. Now, the THAAD system is basically similar to a Patriot missile defense system, but it's designed specifically to shoot out ballistic missiles. Okay, that's what we have in South Korea. So the THAAD system travels further and it travels faster than the Patriot missile system. It's specifically designed to take out high-speed ballistic missiles. And the only country in the Middle East that has high-speed ballistic missiles, long-range ballistic missiles that travel at high speeds is Iran. Okay, so they're expecting potentially that Iran is going to launch missiles at Israel, and they're setting up THAAD systems in the Middle East to protect Israel and also probably to protect American bases in the region. Okay, what if Iran decides to launch a ballistic missile at an American base and they take out hundreds of American soldiers? We're going to have to get involved. Okay, what if Iran launches ballistic missiles at Israel? Okay, this war could easily escalate. Okay, this could be the catalyst for World War III and nuclear war. Okay, so make sure you guys are getting prepared in all aspects, physically, spiritually, and mentally. Okay, this could be it. All right, I'm not 100% sure on that, but this is different than all the other situations in the Middle East in the past. So let me read to you this statement from the Department of Defense. This was released late last night. Following detailed discussions with President Biden on recent escalations by Iran and its proxy forces across the Middle East region, today I directed a series of additional steps to further strengthen the Department of Defense posture in the region. These steps will bolster regional deterrence efforts, increase force protection for U.S. forces in the region, and assist in the defense of Israel. What's interesting is he mentions Iran. That's the first threat that he mentions here. Okay, following detailed discussions with President Biden on recent escalations by Iran and its proxy forces across the Middle East region. Okay, so he's identifying Iran as the main threat, which is true. Iran is the one that funds all these terrorist groups in the Middle East and gives them weapons. And guess who funds and equips Iran? Okay, Russia and China. They give Iran weapons, and they're helping Iran build their nuclear program. Okay, and I personally believe that the U.S. and Israel are planning a first strike on Iran because they want to denuclearize Iran because Iran is on the verge of building nuclear weapons. Okay, and they do not want Iran to have nuclear weapons. Could you imagine another North Korea in the world, another crazy country with crazy leaders, and they're going to threaten that whole region? Okay, that would be like a North Korea in the Middle East. It would just be absolutely insane. So I personally believe that the U.S. and Israel could be planning some kind of a first strike on Iran. And if they do that, they're going to need massive firepower because Iran has all these bunkers. You know, Iran is a mountainous country and they have bunkers under these mountains. And if they're going to do a first strike on Iran, they're going to need probably nuclear weapons, earth penetrating warheads in order to destroy a lot of those facilities. But let me just continue on here with this press release. First, I redirected the movement of the USS Dwight D. Eisenhower Carrier Strike Group to the Central Command Area of Responsibility. This strike group is in addition to the USS Gerald R. Ford Carrier Strike Group, which is currently operating in the Eastern Mediterranean Sea. It will further increase our force posture and strengthen our capabilities and ability to respond to a range of contingencies. So the Gerald R. Ford, guys, is the best aircraft carrier that we have. Okay, it's the most advanced aircraft carrier in the U.S. Navy, and it's operating off the coast of Israel right now. Okay, and the Dwight Eisenhower is on its way. It's probably almost there. I have also activated the deployment of a terminal high altitude area defense battery as well as additional Patriot batteries to locations throughout the region to increase force protection for U.S. forces. Finally, I have placed an additional number of forces on prepare to deploy orders as part of prudent contingency planning to increase their readiness and ability to quickly respond as required. I will continue to assess our force posture requirements in the region and consider deploying additional capabilities as necessary. Okay, so he's still considering deploying additional capabilities, but this last paragraph is the most concerning. Okay, I have placed an additional number of forces on prepare to deploy orders as part of prudent contingency planning to increase their readiness and ability to quickly respond as required. And the Secretary of Defense was on ABC News this morning, and he warned all these countries in the Middle East again not to get involved in the war. Okay, he said, "We suggest to any country or organization that wants to expand the circle of combat or benefit from it not to do so. We will not hesitate to act militarily if the conflict expands." Okay, so this is like probably the 10th time that the U.S. Secretary of Defense has warned all these countries and all these terrorists around Israel not to try to get involved and benefit from the situation. Okay, we will not hesitate to act militarily if the conflict expands. Okay, so he's drawing a red line. He's drawing a red line and he's saying if anybody gets involved when Israel goes into Gaza, okay, that's the red line. We will not hesitate to act militarily. Okay, Biden said it multiple times. Secretary of State Anthony Blinken said it multiple times. So, these are pretty clear red lines. Okay. Israel informed the U.S. that it will not wait long to begin its ground operation. This was reported by Bloomberg. And the Minister of Economy of Israel threatened to wipe out the Ayatollahs of Iran from the face of the earth. He told the Daily Mail yesterday that if Hezbollah wants to attack Israel from the northern front, and by attacking Iran, we will wipe out the Ayatollahs from the face of the earth. So pretty strong words there from the Minister of Economy, Nur Barkat. Iran's Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps evacuated several military posts in eastern Syria near the countryside of Deir ez-Zor and have moved them, along with other reinforcements coming from the Iraqi territory, towards the city of Homs. And this is coming from the North Press Agency. Okay, so the IRGC, these are the Iranian militias in Syria and Iraq. They've moved from eastern Syria closer to Israel towards the city of Homs. Okay, so that is very suspicious. Okay, very, very suspicious. So it looks like these Iranian militias or the IRGC, they're going to get involved in this conflict as well. Okay, in addition to Hezbollah. And they've also managed to recruit about 1 million Iranian volunteers to go fight in Israel in a holy war against Israel. Okay, so Israel's about to get attacked on all sides, possibly. We have Iranian officials telling Reuters that senior decision makers in Iran have now agreed to support limited strikes by Hezbollah on Israel. Germany is sending troops to the Mediterranean, namely their Navy and Marines. Apparently, the warship FGS Frankfurt, which is a combat support ship, anchored in Larnaca, Cyprus yesterday, and also troops of the Bundeswehr were sent to the island of Cyprus along with A400M transport planes. Okay, so that's huge news, guys. Germany sending troops to Cyprus, okay, German Marines, several German transport planes going to Cyprus, probably filled with German Marines, maybe German special forces, special operations. We do know that Germany deployed their special operations to Cyprus to help support the hostage rescue in Gaza. We have a Syrian news agency reporting that at around 5:25 a.m. local time this morning, the Israeli army simultaneously attacked the airports in Damascus and Aleppo again, and the runways were destroyed, and both airports are now closed. And apparently, following this attack, aircraft traffic has been redirected to the Latakia airport, which is on the shore of the Mediterranean. So Israel striking those runways again at Damascus and Aleppo International Airport. They did that about a week ago. Israel is evacuating more communities near the border of Lebanon. Apparently, the National Security Agency of Israel has announced the mandatory evacuation of the following communities along the Lebanon border, and they include Snir, Dan, Beit Hillel, Shar Yeshuv, Ha Gashrim, Liman, Matsuba, Ilan, Goren, Gornat, Hagalil, Even Menachem, Sasa, Tsivan, and Ramat Naftali. I'm sorry if I didn't say that the right way, but I did my best. But over a dozen communities near the Lebanese border getting evacuated now, mandatory evacuation. Okay, so they wouldn't be doing that unless they were expecting some kind of conflict over there. And this update is being sponsored by My Patriot Supply. Guys, I have a special deal for you that My Patriot Supply hooked me up with, and it's a 25% discount on their 3-month emergency food supply and their 2-week emergency food supply. So to get the deal, you have to use the link in the description below this video, which is preparewith.nyprepper.com, and you'll get 25% off the My Patriot Supply 3-month emergency food supply and 2-week emergency food supply. Now, these food supplies are freeze dried, so they have a 25-year shelf life if stored in the proper conditions. They come in rugged, water resistant buckets. The 3-month emergency food supply comes in 6 water resistant buckets, so they don't take up a lot of room. And you have 3 months worth of food, which should cover you for almost any scenario. There's a variety of different food in this 3-month supply and also in the 2-week supply. So you're going to get a good variety, and it's also healthy, and there's no MSG. So get prepared, guys. We're living in unprecedented times. World War III could happen at any moment. And the 2-week emergency food supply is also great for people that like to go camping. You can get one of these buckets and throw it in your vehicle. So use the link preparewithnyprepper.com to get 25% off of the 2-week and the 3-month emergency food supply from My Patriot Supply, 25-year shelf life. They also have a general store. If you click on their logo here, it'll take you to their general store, which has all kinds of prepping and survival items. So check them out, guys. I'll leave a link in the description below this video. And in Iraq, another U.S. base was targeted by rockets. This one was the Al Assad Air Base in the Anbar province. And apparently, at least one blast was heard inside of the base. Okay, and this is what concerns me: is if these Iranian militias start to target our bases, and this could be a reason for the U.S. to get involved if one of our bases gets hit by some rockets fired by Iranian-backed militias and they kill a bunch of our troops. We would definitely get involved in that situation. Hezbollah is continuing to fire at Israeli military installations along the border with Lebanon. Here's some video showing the latest attack on an Israeli military outpost, and you can see, the fence here and big plume of smoke. Apparently, Hezbollah militants targeted the Al Abad military outpost, which I think that's this one, but I'm not 100% sure. So just letting you guys know, I don't know 100% the name of this outpost in the video, but apparently the Al Abad outpost was targeted. A short while ago, an IDF tank accidentally fired and hit an Egyptian border post adjacent to the border in the area of Karem Shalom. There were reportedly 9 injured following the strike, and the IDF has since apologized to Egypt and said that they're doing an investigation. And the Russian Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov is going to be visiting Iran tomorrow. Very interesting. French President Emmanuel Macron will arrive in Israel at the invitation of Prime Minister Netanyahu this Tuesday. Okay, so Macron will arrive in Israel this Tuesday. And Netanyahu said that if Hezbollah enters the war, it will make the mistake of its life. The implications for him and for Lebanon are devastating. Okay, so Netanyahu threatening Hezbollah and Lebanon if Hezbollah gets involved. All right, and he was at the northern border of Israel meeting commandos that are deployed there, and that's when he said that. So I want to just share some flight paths with you guys. Here we have 5 aerial refuelers that were moved from New Jersey to California. They went from McGuire Air Force Base in New Jersey to Travis Air Force Base in New Jersey, and this was late last night. And what's interesting is where they landed happens to be the West Coast home base of our nuclear war command and control planes. So I don't know if they're expecting our command and control planes to be very active the next couple of days or the next few weeks. So they moved 5 refuelers there because they expect the TACAMO planes to be flying a lot of sorties. I don't know, but it's pretty unusual to move 5 aerial refuelers to Travis Air Force Base in the middle of the night. And we had a bunch more C-17 Globemasters active in the Middle East yesterday, moving supplies around. And here we have several C-17s going to and from Cyprus last night. Okay, Cyprus has a major NATO base, and there was also an aerial refueler active in the eastern Mediterranean off the coast of Cyprus at the same time. Check this out. It's an aerial refueler here. And we had a U.S. Air Force VIP plane go from Saudi Arabia to Israel last night, which is pretty interesting. That's probably the second or third VIP plane in the past few days to go to Israel. And last night we had Vladimir Putin's Air Force One go to St. Petersburg, and several Russian special flight squadron planes go to Mongolia. We had 2 go to Mongolia and then 2 go to St. Petersburg. The ones that went to St. Petersburg probably had Putin on board one of them. So Putin went to St. Petersburg for some reason. And we had 2 NATO cargo planes, military cargo planes, go to southeastern Poland yesterday, which is interesting. Looks like they moved some supplies to the Rzeszów International Airport, which is where they've been funneling equipment into Ukraine from. So one of them was an Italian Air Force transport plane, and the other one was a Super Galaxy, a C-5, which is massive. So they moved a serious amount of weapons and ammunition probably to southeastern Poland, probably to give to Ukraine, or they could be just for the U.S. forces stationed there. We have at least 10,000 U.S. Army troops along the border of Ukraine and southeastern Poland still. So I want to just kind of quickly mention some things, give you guys something to think about. So, we have a lot of assets in the Middle East, and the most concerning is that we have 24 F-15E Strike Eagles that were moved to the Middle East. I forget which country they moved them to. I think it was like Qatar. But the F-15E Strike Eagles are basically primarily used for nuclear weapon delivery and nuclear strike missions. That's their primary mission now with the Air Force. And so we moved 24 of them last week to the Middle East, okay? And the F-15E Strike Eagle is the only fighter jet in the U.S. Air Force that is certified to deliver the latest modification of the B-61 tactical nuke, okay, which is the B-61 Mod 12. And potentially we have a nuclear capable submarine being moved to the Middle East. I don't know 100% if that's true, but we do know the USS Florida, which is an Ohio class sub, left Scotland 2 days ago, or actually 4 days ago now. And the USS Florida can carry 154 Tomahawk missiles on it. Okay, so if things were to escalate, these are the types of assets you want in the region. You want the USS Florida because of all the Tomahawk missiles it has, and then you want those Strike Eagles in case you got to deliver tactical nukes. Okay, but the USS Florida could also have nuclear tipped Tomahawk missiles. And so, in that case, if they had to strike Iran, they could basically completely decapitate Iran's nuclear arsenal and their nuclear facilities and their military with just that USS Florida. Now, and I want to just read to you all of the equipment that's going to be moved into the Middle East in the coming days. The USS Mount Whitney, 2 aircraft carriers, 2 guided missile cruisers, 7 guided missile destroyers, 1 amphibious assault ship with 2,500 Marines, 1 dock landing ship, and 1 landing platform dock ship. Okay, and that's not including any submarines. And so, the U.S. is moving a serious amount of forces into the Middle East, guys. Okay, a serious amount. And they're putting the forces on ready to deploy orders, okay, and they're moving additional air defenses. So it's clear that the U.S. is preparing for something. What that is, I have no idea. But what if the reason why Israel is delaying their ground operation in Gaza is because they're actually planning to preemptively strike Hezbollah first before they go into Gaza, because they know that if they go into Gaza, Hezbollah is going to attack them from behind, and all those Iranian militias in Syria are going to attack them from behind. So maybe they're going to strike those first before they go into Gaza. I don't know, guys. But that would be the most logical thing to do. And what if Israel and the U.S. are planning a preemptive strike on Iran, and they're just going to strike Iran's nuclear facilities and take them out? I mean, this is all very possible, guys. And also their missile launch facilities, okay? They would want to take out all the ballistic missile facilities and all the nuclear research locations where they're trying to enrich uranium and build nuclear warheads. They would strike those and strike the ballistic missile and the ballistic missile storage and launch sites, okay? So a lot of things going on, guys. We have to make sure we're getting prepared. Things can really escalate very quickly with this war. So this is not just some minor war in the Middle East, guys, okay? 1,300 Israelis were brutally killed by Hamas, okay? Israel's not going to forget about that anytime soon, okay? That's like their 9/11. And then we also have the Korean Peninsula to worry about. We also have the Baltic countries. I've been showing you guys all the NATO monitoring over the Baltics. They've been sending high priority reconnaissance planes over the Baltic countries to give intelligence information directly to the president and the Joint Chiefs of Staff. Okay, so Russia may make a move on the Baltics at the same time as Iran and all its proxies attack Israel, and then at the same time North Korea could attack South Korea. So we could have multiple fronts across the world opening up. Okay, and then potentially China attacking Taiwan. So get prepared, guys. I'll keep you updated. I will do another update later on this evening. I hope you have a great Sunday afternoon. Take care. God bless. And don't forget the 3 Ps: prepare, practice, and persevere.